Alright, hello class. I wanted to do a video just on your calculator, how to graph things, all the different scenarios that you might go through in sort of seeing things. So then I also wanted to give you, let's see, an idea of what graphing of trig functions on the calculator look like. So I figured what I'll do is I'll actually go through some examples that we've done in class, anything from 4.1, 4.2, and I'm going to hit into 4.3. So I have my notes in front of me, and we'll just kind of hit those sine functions here. So first things first, make sure your calculator's on. That'd be great. And then click on this little mode button. Well, first of all, let's go make sure everything's cleared out on the front screen. So make sure you get this clear button right here. Everything is cleared out on the front screen. Let's go to mode, and for the most part, we're going to be in Radian mode. So if you click on, if your calculator says something like this, where degrees are highlighted, so bring it down to radian measurements, click on it, and just any kind of loose ends. Make sure you guys are in functions, make sure it's connected instead of just dots. So those pieces there. Alright, go back to the beginning screen, right over here, and then let's go to y equals. This is where you're going to graph these things. So just to make sure, real quick here, most likely your calculators haven't done this, but just look up here to make sure there's no plot functions that are turned on, and highlight means it's turned on. So if they are, go over it, click on it, click on the next one, click on it, and now they're turned off. That has to do with more statistics, and if you're taking stats right now as well, so you might have those turned on. Okay, let's go for it. Let's go with the basic function. Let's go with the sine function. So you should have the basic trig functions here, sine, cosine, and tangent on your calculator. We're going to click on that. And here's your variable button. Notice it has x, t, theta, and n. So x is the function notation, t is parametric equations, theta is angle measurements, and n are sequences. So this has all of them. Once you click this, depending which function you're in, it's going to give it to you. So click that, click enter, and we are almost set to graph. Okay, so one of two ways you could do this here. You can click on the zoom button feature. If you click on zoom, you notice you have something called zoom trig. Okay, in this case right here, if you just want just a quick graph, basic graphs, you want to take a look at it, you just click on the zoom trig, either press number 7, press enter, and that should give us a nice sine function. Look at that. It actually gives us, remember sine begins at 0, right? It goes up, comes back down, and comes to here. So this looks like it's 2 pi. It goes 0, that's pi over 2, that's pi, that's 3 pi over 2 right here, and 2 pi. Going back the other way, that means it goes backwards one cycle. So the trig zoom, negative 2 pi, it's really graphing from negative 2 pi to positive 2 pi. That's really what you have here. The y values are 1, 2, 3, 4. So notice it's, so we can change these around. So let's do that just for practice sake here. Let's change these around. Instead of going all the way back to negative 2 pi, I want to cut it off at 0. So let me cut off at 0. And we're just going to do one cycle. That's all I want to see. Just want to see one cycle. So the zoom button is the quick way of doing the trig functions here, and it's really made for the basic trig functions. Clicking on window, that's when we start changing things. Alright, so let's do a few things here just so we can know. So let's punch in negative 2, and we're going to click the pi button. So when you enter it, notice it takes you to negative 6.28. That's kind of the graph, where the graph is. Hey, that's interesting. Let's take a look at this here still. Let's click on, so that's the x min. The x maximum is going to be positive 2, so we don't need to put the plus sign, but 2 pi. And what we want to do is we want to go, this is the tick marks. These are the little ticks along the x-axis. And we want to go every pi over 2. So we're going to go pi divided by 2. And we'll keep y minimum, negative 4, y maximum the same, and the tick mark says, let's graph this again. Just want to see if there's any slight difference here in our graph. So graphing it. Notice there's one more extra little pixel right at the end, barely. That's all. You Let's see. So anyways, there's our graph. So now let's go. Let's chop this off. I just want to see from 0 to 2 pi. So window again. So this x minimum tells you where you want the screen to begin. I want to begin at 0 this time. I do want to go up to 2 pi, so that's there. And I want to go every pi over 2. From -4 to 4 sounds reasonable, good enough, and every tick mark is that. Alright, let's go with it. Click the graph button and voila. There's my sine function as we have it. One cycle. Alright, let's change things up. Let's jump to y equals. Let's just change this to cosine. Again, we haven't changed the screen, right? We haven't changed it, so it's going to go from 0 to 2 pi again. So here's my cosine curve. Nice, there it is. So there's cosine starting high, going low, coming back up high. Alright, there's your basic trig functions. And now let's start changing things up. Let's play with the amplitude. So now one of our problems that we did in class was 3 sine of x. Okay, question is, do we need to change anything on our graph? No, I think I still like my graph, right? Kind of think back to your window. We're going from -4 to 4 along the y-axis. So this will fit inside our screen, so that's cool. So let's do that here. So graph it. My sine function should go all the way up to 3, down to -3, and then come up to 0. So nice. Nice screen there. Okay, so now let's go another way. Again, I'm just kind of picking questions from. Oh, we should show this one here. So let's go back to y equals. And all I want to do is I want to put a little negative inside here. So I'm going to go -3 sine of x. Alright, if you don't want to erase the whole thing, what you do is you click this little ins. It means insert. Insert. So you click second function, insert, and then click a negative sign. And then you come off of it by clicking the arrow symbol and enter. So now instead of a +3, we got a -3. Let's see what that looks like. Let's hit the graph button. So there it is. Sine still started at 0, right? Instead of going up, now it goes down, and then it comes up, back up, and then down. So there it is. All right, let's try a few more things here. So as you're familiar with it here, let me pick some problems from the homework. So how about this? How about 4 cosine of 1/2, so 0.5 x, and I want you to do one complete cycle. One complete cycle of cosine. Now notice it's a 4 there, so it should fit on our screen still. There's something's going to happen with that 0.5 though, and if you know already, that's great. So let's go with it here. Let's graph it the way it is right now, and let's see what happens here. So there's my cosine. Ooh, that 0.5 just means I only have done 1/2 of my complete cycle, so I need to expand this out. So that's half of it. I still need to be able to come all the way back up. So 0 to 2 pi is not big enough. I actually need to go 0 to 4 pi to get me where I want. So I need to adjust my x maximum right over here. So let's go to window. So that's still nice. This is what I need to adjust. I need to adjust my maximum. Instead of 2 pi, I want to go 4 pi. So it's going to be 4 multiplied by second function, pi right over here. So there's my 4 pi. Click enter. And then, because I'm going all the way up to the top of the screen, what I probably want to do is, I probably want to extend this out just a little bit. How about let's go, so my bottom of my screen is going to go down to -6. The top of my screen is going to go up to +6. That'll at least give me a good idea there for my graph. So I think we're all ready. Let's go for it and graph it. That looks a lot better there. Alright, so there's a graph for that. Let's choose another one. Alright, at this point I want you to maybe adjust Yeah, this will be good. Can you adjust the screen size so that it gets me one cycle only? I want to see one cycle of -3 sine of 2x. I know we did something very similar to that. So on the screen, I just want to be able to see one cycle of that. And if you can think about it already, go to the Windows screen already. Perfect, go for it. Alright, I'm going to look at the graph of it as of right now. There's my sine function. Okay, so -3 makes it goes down to -3, comes up to +3, so I need to stop right there. So I'm going from 0 to 4 pi right now. Right. So it's kind of funny because if you think about it here, if you go through it here, this is pi right here. This is 2 pi. This is 3 pi, and this is 4 pi. So really what I want to do is I still want to just adjust my x maximum to stop right there. So window, so starting at 0, we're going to go up to just pi. Now at this point you do want to adjust this. This is pi over 2. That means you only get one tick mark. Remember with trig functions we want to always divide it into 4 pieces. That's kind of how the trig functions work, in 4 pieces. So instead of this is pi over 2 right now. For our tick marks to work nice, let's divide this by 2. So how about pi over 4? Let's do this. If the whole period took pi, we take that divided by 4. Pi over 4 will give us the different quarters for it. So pi divided by 4 will give me what I want. And let's see, it's going to go down to -3, go up to we'll go up to +3. You could leave it as -6. If you want to go in just a little closer, you can adjust this to a -4 and 4. So now that should give you a pretty nice graph of that. So understanding, we're going from 0 to pi, and these tick marks are pi over 4, pi over 2, 3 pi over 4, and pi. Alright, so now let's do let's do one more of this. Okay, you guys tell me here. We did this in the notes here, so this is going to be 2. Let me just clear this out. 2 cosine of pi x. Alright, think about it for a little bit here. So I want a nice, comfortable one cycle of this. I want to see one cycle of 2 cosine of pi x. Alright, and you can pause the video if you like and try it yourself here if you like. Alright, I'm going to try it here. So that little pi there, which you guys know already because we passed up 4.2 already, that means instead of cycling every 2 pi, it's going to cycle every 2. That's what it's going to do. And so our x maximum should be 2. Our x minimum is still at 0. And this guy is going to go all the way up to 2 and come down to -2. So we can probably go to our window. So 0, but now this is the fun part. We're just going to go to 2. In this case, again, you want to break it up into 4 pieces. So how do you break up 2 into 4 pieces? That means each one's going to be 0.5. And -4 is here. +4 here. That's good. That's about right for that one. Let's graph it. Let's see what happens. Cosine. Here it is. And perfect. There it is. There's my 1/2. There's my 1. There's my 1.5. And there's my 2. And my window is set to 4 and down to -4, so it gave me a nice pretty graph there. Alright, one more thing we want to do is we want to look at vertical shifts. So if I take this guy all the way to the end, I'm going to raise it by 5, and if we graph it, I do want to show you this because this is Like, whoa, we are way low. Our screen is way low of this. So we want to go back up to window and ask ourselves, let's go to y equals first. So question is this, where's the middle of this graph now? It's at 5, right? 5, because we shifted everything up 5 units. There's the middle of the graph. And then it's going to be raised up by 2, and it's going to go down by 2. So it's 5 plus or minus 2. So the 7 is going to reach up to the height of 7. It's going to go down to a bottom of 3. So let's start adjusting our window. If that's the case, our top is 7, our bottom is 3, and let's give ourselves a little bit of room here. So maybe 1 would be fine. Give us a little 2 units here. So 5 minus 2 is 3, and then we go down 2 more units. 5 plus 2 is 7. So then the height I want to be the highest y value, probably 9. So let's see if this all makes sense. Let's go for it. Alright, and let's see, that's 1, right? That's 2, 3, 4. Here's your middle, here's your 5. Alright, and some students, what they like to do, they usually like to say, I at least want to see my 0. So I don't want to go up to 9. At least want to see my x-axis so that I see how things are flowing. So if you want to just bring it down to 0, that's fine too, as long as you're just counting your tick marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's where our goal is. Alright, hopefully that was informative for you to graph these functions.